Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rukak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. And as always, all praises, honor, and glory is definitely due to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, especially in these days as we're seeing a lot of things just happening. The prophecies are speaking and moving rapidly. The Lord has begun to visit the world which He made. And a lot of things, like I said, a lot of things are happening now. I want to get into this here, and because I know me and the brother did the sit down last night, and we were going into spiritual powers, Jacob's trouble, a few things. And so I want to speak on this prophecy of Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1, which is any man in the truth who hears this, even not in the truth, just can't wait for this prophecy to happen. But if you're really a man of the Lord, it ain't just about just having a bunch of women and popping a lot of women and nothing like that. Of course that comes with it. But it ain't just about that. That's not what we're looking forward to. And if anything, in those days, we're going to be more focused on what we have to do and just keeping ourselves protected and safe. You know, but in this prophecy it says, "And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach." And let's go to the NLT, and I'm going to expound on it. It says, "In that day so few men will be left, that 7 women will fight for each man, saying, Let us all marry you. We will provide our own food and clothing. Only let us take your name, so we won't be mocked as old maids." Okay, now it says there will be so few men left because, like I said, a lot's going to be going on. When we look at the things that are happening right now, we see that it's right around the corner. We're on the brink of a civil war here in America, Babylon the Great. And not only that, on the brink of World War III, there's going to be civil unrest, sedition amongst men. So a lot of men, with all the chaos going on, a lot of men are gonna be off. You know what I'm saying? Some are gonna be out to war. Some men will be fighting, and just to protect their families. And men, and because like I said, you see what's going on with ICE and the Ice Cube people and all the circus stuff. Not saying nothing about Ice Cube himself, but anyway, you get the point. A lot of men are just gonna lose their lives. You know what I'm saying? That's just the prophecy, and that's just the way it goes. Because eventually, when civil war happens, and matter of fact, let me get this in Second Ezra, I think 15, just to give you a little bit of insight of what we're headed to. And I'll come back to this here. Let me get the other Bible app. Let me see. Okay, for 2nd Ezra 15, starting at 14, says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hand. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Okay, because it's gonna be a lot going on. We're looking forward to famine, different plagues. They're gonna crash this dollar. You know what I'm saying? So you're living in a world with no food, no water, no electricity. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, no internet. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's just gonna be trying to eat. You know what I'm saying? Provide for themselves and their families. And so there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on. And this is Jacob's trouble. It says, a man, verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. This is talking about martial law. Which is, as you can see, they can easily bring in martial law, with a civil war popping out. With all this other stuff going on that was mentioned before, that's more good reason for them to bring in martial law. It says, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Okay, and so when you go to Isaiah 4:1 here, why would 7 women, 7 being a complete number, it just means multiple women fighting for one man? And they're not fighting, they'll all be in one consent, they said, let us all marry you. You know what I'm saying? Why would that be? Because these women are going to be seeking protection. Okay? At this time, with these going on, the Lord is going to be shown who the men of the Lord are. And when it says this one man, those men, these are going to be men of the Lord who have stability in the time of trouble. You see what I'm saying? Who can keep a stable mind in the midst of chaos. Who's not worrying, and frantic. Okay? They'll know who the men of the Lord are. And they're going to need that protection. They're going to need that covering. You see what I'm saying? And this is why this prophecy will take place. Now, if you go to Isaiah chapter... Now, before I go there... I'm going to go to Isaiah chapter 32 now. Because it speaks on it. And I'm going to start at verse 2. It says, and a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. Okay? And the eyes of them that shall see them not be dim, and the eyes of them that see shall not be dim, and the ears of them that hear shall hearken. Okay? Now, in the NLT that. Okay? Each man will be like a shelter from the wind, and a refuge from the storm, like winds of water in the desert, and the shadow of a great rock in a parched land. Once again, these women are going to be needing protection. These women are going to seek protection. And how are they going to get it? From a man of the Lord. Okay? Because the Lord is going to raise his men up. Okay? We were going in the spiritual powers, and we're going to receive those powers if we are that number. And Lord willing, we are. Okay? Through faith, we believe that we will be of that number, which is giving our due diligence to make our calling and election sure, of course. Okay? But women are going to look for protection. Women are going to look for shelter. Okay? That's the nature of a woman. Okay? And it's going to be, men of the Lord are going to be in their true nature. Protectors. Providers. You see what I'm saying? And how else can a man protect any woman, especially multiple women, in times like we just read in 2nd Ezra chapter 15? when literally the whole country is fighting against itself. Everybody against everybody. Okay? Literally everybody against everybody. Okay? The Lord will have to give his men spiritual powers. Okay? The Lord is going to raise us up and give us those spiritual powers, as spoken of also in the book of Isaiah. And this is Isaiah chapter 59 and 19. It says, so shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, which is the east. So from all over the earth, they're going to fear the Lord. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. Because how else can we defeat, how else can we protect women in the midst of a civil war when literally all bets are off? You know, can you imagine all the things that are going to be going on? Matter of fact, let's get this here. I mean, this is the prophecy, you know. Zechariah 14 and 2. Let me highlight it. It says, for I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Now this is prophesying, you know, of a time that already happened, but this is, once again, it's going to happen again. You know, in any time of war, I guess you could say, this happens. These things happen. Okay, and women will need to be protected. Okay, because see, these women being great, you know what I'm saying? There's not going to be any 911. See, right now, women are able to call 911 and say he did this, he did that, or this and that. Even men can call. Anybody can call 911 for help. You know, there's not going to be a 911. I mean, everything is going to be shut down. Okay? That's why even men are going to be afraid. Okay? And only men of the Lord are going to have stability. Okay? So, going back to Isaiah 59 and 19, when it says that the Lord shall lift up a standard against them, you know, it says the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against them. That means that the Lord is going to raise his men up to be able to protect themselves, to be able to protect others, to heal, you know, all kinds of things, which we went into last night, because Yahushua did say, the things that you see me do, you will also do an even greater. Okay, so it's a lot coming down the pipe, and we got a lot to look forward to, and we are going to be able to do these things. You know what I'm saying? We cannot fight Esau and his military with all just regular household guns. You know, boxing, karate, all that. That's not gonna. We can't defeat what Esau got. This man was blessed with the sword, which just goes back and it just goes to his weaponry. He masters weaponry. Okay, and got all kind of shit. Straight up. And if the Lord, honestly, if the Lord don't give us spiritual powers, it's just like the brothers say, we out of there. We out of there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we believe that the Lord will, you know, and like I say, if the Lord has proven his word to be faithful and true, we seeing all these other prophecies come to pass, why not these? How much more of these? You know? Question is, do you believe that? You know? But see now, when I just read in Isaiah chapter 32 and 3, I want to go back to that and expound on what I read in verse 2. I want to go back to verse 3. And it says in verse 3, and I'm going to get it, let me get this whole thing in the NLT. It says, yeah, each man will be like a shelter from the wind and a refuge from the storm, like streams of water in the desert and the shadow of a great rock in a parched land. It says, then everyone who has eyes will be able to see the truth, and everyone who has ears will be able to hear it. Okay, because see, now nobody believes it. Right now, people have eyes, but they can't see. They can't see what's going on because it hasn't been given it to them. But the Lord is going to open up their eyes, open up their ears, and now the prophecies are going to be true. The prophecies are going to be proving themselves to be true. A couple of precepts on that. I think that's in the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 33 and 33. I knew that. It says, and when this come to pass, and lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet hath been among them. Now the people are going to know now that the men of the Lord were right all along. Then people are also going to know that we are the men of the Lord. It's going to be known who the men of the Lord are now in these days. You see what I'm saying? And partly because the Lord will give us that spiritual power. Now let's go to the book of Psalms 110 and 3. I'm getting ready to close this out shortly. Psalms 110 and 3. It says, thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, in the beauties of holiness. From the womb of the morning thou hast the dew of thy youth. Okay. And now in the NLT it says, when you go to war, your people will serve you willingly. You are arrayed in holy garments, and your strength will be renewed each day like the morning dew. Your strength will be renewed. The Lord is going to give us spiritual powers. And yeah, those that didn't believe are going to believe. You know what I'm saying? Those women that didn't want you are going to want you. And even more. Okay? So these are the prophecies all coming together and all happening. It's all happening. You know? And we're finna see a whole lot more things come down the pipe this year. You know? Now let me get this in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5. And I'm gonna this will probably be my last one. Go back to the other Bible app. And it's Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 and starting at 15. It says, but the righteous live forevermore, their reward also is with the Lord, and the care of them is with the Most High. Therefore shall they receive a glorious kingdom and a beautiful crown from the Lord's hand. For with his right hand shall he cover them, and with his arm shall he protect them. Okay? Verse 17 is the main point. It says, he shall take to him his jealousy for complete armor, and make the creature his weapon for the revenge of his enemy. The Lord is gonna make us his weapon. Okay? Like the scriptures say, we are the Lord's axe, and you are my axe and weapons of warfare. Okay? This is how we are going to be able to protect women. This is how we're going to be able to protect ourselves. You know, because the Lord is going to give us, he's going to renew our strength. And it says renew. This is strength that we had. in the past. Okay, but the Lord weakened this ticket away for us for prophecy's sake. Okay, and here we are. You know, the Lord is going to renew our strength. And we're going to be able to do those things again, like in the time of David and Samson. You know, even the time of the apostles, when they was healing and doing things like that. All these things are coming back fourfold. You know what I'm saying? That's why this particular prophecy is going to happen in our time. Real soon too. So, and I'll close it with that. Isaiah 4:1, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach, because these women are going to need protection. Okay, and they're going to seek that from a true man of the Lord. Okay, and those men of the Lord are going to be able to protect them, because the Lord is going to give us that power to do so. Okay, so once again, hey, brothers and sisters, there's a lot coming down the pipe. We all have to give our due diligence to make our calling and election sure. Because, hey, only an elect woman is going to be part of this. Okay, so it's not just for men. Okay? So everybody, all of you, brothers and sisters, we all must give our due diligence to make our calling and election sure, so that we can have the protection needed from the Most High, from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? And the time is near. Okay? I'm going to end it right there, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who taught me the truth and who rule well. Peace and salutations again to the hope for the elect. Shalom.